Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Hey, welcome. That's a catchy little tune, isn't it? It is just one of those little tunes that's like sticks in my head now. You just kind of got to bop around to it. I hope you're having a great day. It is time for Naturally Inspired Radio, and it's another gorgeous day here in northern Colorado. All is pretty good here on the farm. All the animals are doing their animal things, and I'm just grateful today to be enjoying this fall weather, even though I know snow is probably around the corner. I just feel like if I practice more gratitude for the weather and for the sunshine, maybe, just maybe, it won't show up for a while because I'm loving it. I'm out in a t-shirt. It's November, people. It's November and I'm out in a t-shirt. And even I was wearing shorts when I was working out today. Like it's incredible. So I'm just loving it. I hope you're having a great week. I've got some fun stuff to talk about today. I got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Elon has, showed up on stage somewhere, and there's a lot of interesting little comments that he's dropped. And I kind of want to dive into them and my thoughts on them. So that's going to be an interesting topic. Let me tell you some very interesting statements. I was kind of trying to put all the pieces together while I was listening to him. and had some thoughts. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I want to talk about today. Again, just an observer, right? I'm just an observer trying to, put the pieces together here. And maybe there's some, interesting way that we as Americans can shape the coming future. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. It's important, to keep trying to keep the wheels spinning to see how we can shape our culture coming. I know it feels like a lot coming down on us, and so much is changing. And I felt a little lighter today for some reason. And so I want to bring that to you as well. So let's get started anyway. I want to bring up this clip of Elon. Like I said, he's got a lot of promises, a lot of interesting promises, a lot of interesting comments. Here's the first one.
If you say, like, in the long term, where will things end up? Long term, I don't know what long term is. Maybe it's 10, 20 years, something like that. For me, that's long term. My prediction is that work will be optional.
Optional.
So
We'll take that.
yeah, I mean, it'll be like playing sports or a video game or something like that. If you want to work, in the same way, like you can go to the store and just buy some vegetables, or you could grow vegetables in your backyard. It's much harder to grow vegetables in your backyard, but some people still do it because they like growing vegetables. That will be what work is like, optional. And between now and then, there's actually a lot of work to get to that point. And I always recommend people read Ian Banks' culture books to get a sense for what a probable positive AI future is like. And interestingly, in those books, money doesn't exist. It's kind of interesting. And my guess is, if you go out long enough, assuming there's a continued improvement in AI and robotics, which seems likely, the money will stop being relevant at some point in the future. Now, there will still be constraints on power, like electricity and mass. The fundamental physics elements will still be constraints, but I think at some point,
currency becomes irrelevant. I have a lot of thoughts about this. I mean, did you hear people clapping, first of all? Clapping for no work, This is the result of a society that has been led astray and confused about work. I have to think about the words that I delivered on my son's graduation day. His graduation day, it was, just coming out of COVID, and we homeschooled. But he was in a outside group, and they facilitated the graduation ceremony. So it was like a hybrid model that I did with these community classes type of thing, and a pod of sorts. I forget I don't know why, but I can't remember what the program was called. Anyway, I thought a lot about what I wanted to say on that day, as my, firstborn was graduating high school. And the words that I spoke about was, not getting sucked into the trap. And by the trap, what I meant was there's a lot of traps. When you're a kid, you have all the time in the world to build up 1,000 dreams about what you're going to do with your life. And then somehow, when you graduate and you have these dreams like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, somehow too many people are lured off the path of following their dreams by money. You got to make money. You got to make money to pay your rent. You got to make money. And, the infrastructure of society does not serve people in the way it should when it comes, and it's self-imposed. It's self-imposed. That's the thing. So we constructed a society that says, you got to get out there on your own. What? You're still living at home? Like, you can't live at home. You got to get out there, pay your own rent, pay your own electricity, pay your own car, pay your own. And the problem is really like, who is that serving? To be separated from your, closest community, to be out there fending for yourself. Well, then that makes you very vulnerable to traps, right? And when I say traps, I mean jobs you don't like for money, because you got to pay your rent. You've got to live up to the standard of society so that you cannot be a loser, right? So, as long as you're out living on your own, working a job, paying your own bills, you're a success. Meanwhile, your dreams of maybe being an artist or even like being a lawyer or being you give up on those because it just doesn't seem feasible. You don't want to be at home and feel like a loser. And so those are the traps I was talking about on that day when my son graduated, that my job as a parent is to make sure I do everything I can for you to avoid those traps. Who cares if you live at home? If you don't have a wife and you don't have a family, if you don't have a husband and you don't have a family, but you're out there working towards your dream, trying to get yourself involved in the community that, you need to be around in order to achieve your dreams. Maybe it doesn't pay that much, but we all know, in the world, you've got to be immersed in what you want to do. And you've kind of just got to say, well, it's not paying me much right now, but I'm going to keep going. You find a way to supplement your dream until your dream pays for itself. And the fact that people applaud, work is optional, tells me that too many people, and the common thinking in our culture is that too many people look at work as a bad thing. And let me tell you, if you don't have a purpose and you don't have any work in your life, how are you going to grow? How are you going to grow? How are you going to feel successful? How are you going to, how are you not just going to sit back and eat yourself into oblivion? I mean, talk about, I know I've brought this movie up many times on this show, but the movie WALL-E, right? When I took my kids to see WALL-E, I sat there after it ended for a moment and I was just like, oh no, I could totally see this happening. I could totally see this happening. And years later, here we are. And if you're applauding for no work, then I would say, man, you got to find a purpose. Go back to your dreams. Go back to what you were thinking about when you were a kid that excited you, and start pursuing it. It was Noah Harari, that little guy. He's the one that said, I don't know what we're going to do with the population. We're probably going to have to medicate them, give them video games or something to keep them busy. Do you remember when he said that? Essentially, that's what Elon's describing here. He's painting it at a much better light. But the reality is that humans need purpose. And when you don't have purpose, you tend to overindulge, right? And I was talking to somebody a few months back, I think it was, and they're like, well, people will just travel. People will live their best life. And I'm going, what planet are you living on? You really think that the way this new society is set up. I had this visual today, and I thought of it like this. It's like we have these people on one side of the spectrum, and then we have one group on one side of the spectrum and another group on the other side of the spectrum, and it's like they're holding on to a blanket, and each group is pulling it to one side and then back to the other side and back to the other side. They're negotiating who's going to have more of the blanket. And this essentially is the AI race. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Did you know that over 70% of Americans are on at least one prescription medication, if not many? That's called polypharmacy. And those medications often come with side effects that cause more problems than they solve. And when you visit your doctor, chances are you're going to leave with a prescription, if not multiple. Then when you work with a natural health care practitioner, you can spend a lot of money out of pocket. And often that becomes unsustainable. That's why I created Naturally Inspired Health Community, a place where you can get health coaching, guidance, and community support for free just by purchasing the same products that I use in my home and on my body. I personally recommend them. I personally vetted them. I love them. When you spend just $50, okay, on products that you're buying anyway. You know, everybody seems to be buying wellness products these days. We all understand the value of them. So when you spend $50 with Naturally Inspired, what happens is you get a membership on our partner website. You get a membership that enables you to buy all the products at 15% discount off retail. You get free or flat rate shipping. You get loyalty points that you can apply towards free product. But you also get access to my weekly wellness workshop on Tuesday nights. You get private online health community access as well. And you have personal access to me as your health and wellness guide. When you join our community, you're not just buying products. That's not what it's about here. You're investing in your health. You're investing in knowledge and your freedom. You're getting into some freedom here, exercising your freedom from the pharmaceutical medical mafia trap. Join us today at naturallyinspiredstore.com, where you'll feel supported, informed, and truly inspired to live naturally. I'm not saying, you know, I think after listening to this, I thought, oh, well, you know, if we get the people to engage, you know, and really take personal responsibility for the choices around AI, there's an opportunity here. You know, there's an opportunity here, but it's naive to think, okay? I'm saying this nicely, but it's very naive to think that you're going to be able to sit at home, travel the world, and just have the government put checks in your bank account. I mean, come on. Come on. Hello. You think that's going to happen without some kind of exchange? It's not going to. Okay. So we have opportunity here, but we need, like, this is a whole new world. He's talking about the end of currency, right? The end of money, but it's not really the end of money. And we know that because it's actually a shift into where currency will be more based on like carbon credits and how much energy you're consuming will be the new kind of currency. Because we all know energy is the hot commodity here, right? It's what everybody's talking about. We played Peter Diamandis's Moonshots podcast yesterday. Like, it's all about energy, you guys. They're not going to allow you to suck up all the energy and spend all this free money while they're trying to develop AI into this massive thing. You get what I'm saying here? So there'll definitely need to be an exchange. And I'm not saying that's one way or the other. I'm just telling you point blank. There's going to be an exchange. Okay? Let's check out the next clip because this one's interesting too. Here it is. Elon.
And if you go out long enough, assuming there's a continued improvement in AI and robotics, which this seems likely, the money will stop being relevant at some point in the future. Now, there will still be constraints on power, like electricity and mass. The fundamental physics elements will still be constraints. But I think at some point, currency becomes irrelevant.
Jensen, any thoughts?
By the way, the NVIDIA earnings call is later today.
And by the way, since currency is irrelevant.
Cheers.
Elon just wants to share with you some breaking news.
So you guys, that guy on the right, he don't like the thought of the currency being irrelevant, right? He looks a little uncomfortable, where Elon's clearly kind of playing with this a little bit, you know? But he's telling you there's going to be constraints. Of course there is. Of course there is. Listen, this whole carbon credit system, it was piloted on businesses through ESG, environmental social governance score, right? That's when we saw, these big corporations virtue signaling all about how they just embrace everything. Equity, embrace, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that for the environment. They're getting social credit points for that. And so I pulled this little video because I think it helps people understand what this actually means. And then we can talk about how it will be applied to the individual, which is coming up quick. Take a listen and a watch.
Companies are driven by money. So putting a price on carbon emissions should encourage businesses to stop polluting, right? That's exactly what carbon markets were designed to do. Reduce emissions by charging polluters. But so far, they haven't achieved that aim. Here's why. Towards the end of the 1980s, America had a problem. For years, its power stations had been emitting large amounts of sulfur dioxide, which was falling back to Earth as acid rain, causing harm to plants, aquatic animals, and infrastructure. But there was no incentive for the power plants to stop emitting sulfur dioxide.
Weather warnings and acid rain alert is in effect.
So in 1990, the American government launched an experiment, passing a law to force polluters to pay for their emissions by establishing a new kind of market, governed by a system called cap and trade. 8 years later, acid rain levels over large regions in Eastern America have fallen by 20%, and a new way of cutting emissions was born. In 1997, the International Climate Change Treaty, known as the Kyoto Protocol, suggested applying the concept of cap and trade to carbon. In the years that followed, different countries and regions set up their own carbon markets. Many of these use cap and trade, and this is how it works. A government sets a cap on the amount of CO2 that can be emitted by an industry. It splits the cap into permits and either gives or sells these permits to firms. If a company doesn't use up all of its allowance, it can sell what it doesn't need. If it needs more permits, it can buy them from those with spares. Each year, the cap gets stricter, and the shrinking pool of permits gets more expensive.
The genius of cap and trade systems, when they're done properly, is that they both use a stick and a carrot. That gives them an incentive to innovate, to get cleaner and cleaner. It provides that carrot for innovation, and that trading mechanism, the magic of the market, unleashes those animals.
Now apply that to the individual, right? So in the business, they can pull back their carbon footprint, right? And receive benefit for doing that. Listen, this is why the climate cult is so pushed upon us and propagandized, and it's repeated, and it's climate cult, and they own the science, right? The climate change science is owned. The YouTube thing on the bottom says, if you even mention climate in terms of anything that goes against the climate cult tenets, you're going to get flagged. Because you know what? We could all decide today that buttons were the new currency. And all we really need is for people to buy into that idea. And that's precisely what they're doing with the climate cult. You've got to buy into the idea of net zero, that carbon is the new currency, and put value on it. Because if you don't, then the whole new economic system doesn't work. It doesn't work. And see, what they're trying to do is get off of the petrodollar, right? They're trying to, get over to the carbon dollar. And I think when I talked about that blanket, as a visual, like one side is pulling over here, we're going the climate way, this is the way. And then we have this other side over here that's kind of pulling back on it. And this other side maybe isn't so invested in the climate cult agenda, because that's not where their investments are. Their investments are maybe in, real estate and more tangible assets, where this side is, all invested in the future of carbon. Now, they're talking about the fact that a company, right? But then a company can purchase other carbon credits from another company who has some excess of carbon credits to sell to them, right? But think about that on the individual level. How are you going to cut your carbon credits? You're going to get allotted a certain amount of carbon credits. You're going to need to spend those credits on food. Do you think possibly all this money that's being promised to us may come in the form of carbon credits? It's possible. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying it's possible, because there's definitely a movement here, right? Elon's telling you in the future, currency will be irrelevant. You're going to be bartering with the amount of energy that you take up, the space you take up, the air you breathe, the water you consume, the land you stand on. It's a whole new world, people. I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. Oh, how will that work? Very enticing, I think, if you don't understand the agenda behind it. No work, free money? Heck yeah! There's always a catch. Stay tuned.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back. I'm just saying, we have an opportunity here, okay? We can design a future where I think AI can be used as a tool, right? As a tool. And so I think that's a possibility. But I think we have to have the conversations. You know, I don't think people are ready. You know, if you took away people's jobs and we moved over to like a carbon credit system, I don't think people would be ready to, you know, understand how that's going to work, right? You're going to be selling carbon credits, maybe to richer people. Like, do you see how the divide is going to be? You know, just like in the business model here, you know, where bigger companies who had the ability to, you know, they got more carbon credits, and then they have the ability to, you know, pump out more stuff that gives them, you know, just tokens, right? It's like a token system. And then they can sell those extra tokens to somebody else. Like, you can see how the divide of the haves and the have-nots is going to get pretty big here, you know? And yesterday I played you a clip from Eric Schmidt where he explained, right, where he said, well, the rich get richer and the poor, well, they do the best they can. You know, like, I just think just a little thoughtfulness here, right? Also in this clip, Elon talks about how AI will be able to end poverty. It will be able to end poverty. Well, yeah, if we have no currency, or if currency is irrelevant and everybody's on the same dole, so to speak, I don't know. It sounds a little communism-y to me, doesn't it to you? Everybody gets the same amount of carbon credits and we all get to just, you know, have work optional. It's optional. Well, let me tell you, you know, the human condition is one that tends to take the easiest road. When you hear stories about, you know, like comeback stories of very successful people or whatever, it wasn't till the pain, okay? And this is how it is, you guys. I wish it wasn't, but this is how we are as humans. Once the pain gets greater than the pain of doing what you need to do to create the change that you're wanting, that you're needing, until that pain becomes greater, there's no change. Okay, so to put this into context, let's see, like, you know, a lot of times people will eat cheeseburgers, they will eat French fries, they will drink Coca-Cola until they have a heart attack. And then when they have a heart attack, it's like, holy man, okay, they just turn everything around and there's a great deal of gratitude, but it wasn't till that day, you know, the pain. So if you can sit around and eat cheeseburgers and fries and drink Coke and all that stuff, and not really feel enough pain, then there's no change. That's typical of the human condition. because the thought of having to clean up your diet, exercise, get organized, right? Because that's a variable people don't talk about a lot is organization when it comes to health. You have to get a little bit more organized to live a healthy lifestyle because the society we live in isn't set up for convenience when it comes to health. It's not about healthy convenience. It's about healthy profits, fast food, right? They are preying on your vulnerability because you didn't plan. And I hear it all the time. Well, I didn't really want to eat that, but there was nothing else there. So I know that that's what happens. Okay. And so that's how we are as humans. We have to experience pain, and that pain has to be greater than the pain of doing the work. Right? That's when, okay, now I'll go back and do the work that's less painful because I don't want to experience this heart attack again. That's the truth. I mean, decades and decades of research on habits. I mean, I've read all the books, you guys. This is how it is. So you may think, oh, when all of a sudden, when this free money comes in and nobody's working, that everybody's suddenly going to do everything they want. No, I mean, 76% of the population right now has a chronic illness. If you put them out of work and they just sit around, I mean, you're being a little naive to think that, oh, now that I don't work, I'm just going to sprout up into being motivated and getting all there has to be real true motivation there. People get up and go to work because they need money to pay their bills and to survive. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Now, on the other end of this topic, I've seen multiple posts that they're downplaying artificial intelligence and the digital revolution. They're saying, this is a bubble. It's not going to be what people are saying it is. And I don't know. The talk is big. I'll give you that. But there's a lot of people talking that have spent a lot of their lives working on AI. People like Ray Kurzweil, who has 40 plus years working on AI. So they're very compartmentalized in this area, and they understand it, and they certainly think they have something here. And so I don't know if AI is a bubble, but certainly this is going to have a big impact on our culture. And what does it look like? What would it look like if you didn't have to work? What would it look like? I think we should start asking ourselves that, and implementing that now, though. What is work? Can you swap out work for purpose? Is there some greater vision that you have that you could be working on? And that's where we should have been in the first place. Hard to explain this, but I almost see the pharmaceutical model unrolling in technology, meaning the pharmaceutical model doesn't solve root cause, right? It doesn't solve root cause. It's a Band-Aid. It's a cover-up. It's a signal stopper. Right? The body is signaling communication to you that something's wrong, and pharma covers it up. Well, I see the same pattern here with AI. We have a societal problem when it comes to work, when it comes to purpose. People are not fulfilled in their work for the most part. A very small demographic of people in this country are fulfilled and love their work. And most people got stuck in that trap, right? They made decisions. I got to get out and work and make my car payment. I got to get out and pay my rent. I got to, keep the electricity on. And then, life kind of happens. And the dream that you had gets further and further away. And then you're pretty much stuck in the trap. your whole life. So if you don't have to work, right, for a job that you hate, yeah, there are other opportunities that open up to you, but is the pain factor that I just explained, is that going to be motivating enough? You know, I don't know. Historically speaking, humans need pain to act. It's the same reason why so many people are now waking up to so much, right? Because there's pain. COVID was pain. The mandates, the loss of freedom, this was pain. And that's what it took to wake a lot of people up. And to think this like kind of utopian thing that robots are going to start doing all our work for us and we're going to get free money and we're going to be able to just sit around and do whatever we want. It feels tempting, it feels very tempting and almost dangerous, almost dangerous. And I just don't, again, the programmable currency that has been talked about at length, carbon credits, this is going to infringe on your choices of food and whatnot. Like it feels like a digital prison, people. It feels like a lot of control over everybody. And it feels like a digital prison where you live in your little bubble, and you use up the credits you have. You sell your credits to the rich because you need your credits for, existing. A very interesting concept here with the carbon credits. I don't think what Elon is talking about here is truly what we will realize. But I do think, like I said at the beginning, that I think this is an opportunity. I think it's an opportunity to reshape society and get to a place where we start working for purpose. That's why I've been talking about the higher faculties as much as I have, because I truly believe when you tap into your higher faculties, well, your purpose becomes a lot clearer. First of all, your purpose becomes a whole lot clearer when you're attuned to your higher faculties. You get the message a little clearer. You dial it in a little clearer, and you can start to pursue it. But that, I think, is, going to be the antidote in a lot of ways to the digital revolution and to, outwitting. I don't know if we will outwit AI or whatever on some levels, but I think that our humanness can never be duplicated through machines. And so building your intuition, building your memory, building up these higher faculties, it's going to be key for the future. So stay tuned, because your naturally inspired moment coming up next is about how to develop your intuition. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
I got some comments coming in here on my text line. Not free money. It's a different exchange of goods and services. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one that we can't really wrap our brains around because we've been living off the, dollar, the currency for so long. You don't know. Like it is hard to wrap your brain around. I get it. But like, I go back to that example of like, hey, if we all decided buttons tomorrow were like gold, as long as everybody agrees, then buttons are gold. You know what I mean? And now I see the climate cult, the whole net zero thing. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. They need us to agree that the carbon is the issue. Then that becomes the currency. It's crazy. It's really kind of crazy because we have a whole slew of scientists that are like, what are you talking about? This is insane. That's not how it is. But if we can get enough people to believe it, then it will become the new currency, or worse yet, if they force it through regulation and mandating, right? And law. I don't know. It's just crazy. Anyway, let's get to our naturally inspired moment today because it's a really good one. I just love talking about intuition because it's been a part of my life, I think, as long as I can remember. I mean, as long as I didn't even know I was using it. There were things I just knew, I just know, like you know, and I didn't even have a name for it. As little as I can remember, like 5 years old, I practiced intuition and used it every day and have used it every day. But I didn't know what it was called. It's just one of these higher faculties. And a lot of people think, well, how do you develop intuition? Are you just born with it? No, you do develop it. It's like a pattern of thinking. So we all have intuition. It's the quiet inner knowing that nudges us this way or that way. Sometimes it warns us. Sometimes it guides us and whispers truth before logic ever catches up. But in a world of noise and urgency and fast and distraction galore, many of us have forgotten how to hear it. And I especially think that's true because this week I've been talking about making space. And when I say making space, what I'm talking about here is like the input, the avalanche of input that we consume on a daily basis. It's taking up all the space in our minds. And without space in our minds, we have difficulty creating. We have difficulty regulating our nervous system. We have difficulty being a critical thinker. I mean, it makes perfect sense. There's just no space. I mean, 15-second TikTok videos, sell, scroll. There's never a lack of information, ever. So it's very noisy. And many of us have forgotten how to hear and tap into our intuition. Intuition doesn't disappear, though. That's the good news. It just kind of gets buried. Right? So the good news with intention, it can be strengthened again. So here are 5 strategies to help you reconnect with your intuition. Number 1, slow down. Slow down enough to actually feel, right? Intuition speaks softly. When life is cluttered, when you're rushing, when you're scrolling, when you're multitasking, which by the way is not a thing, or constant stimulation from whatever input you're being, that's being pushed upon you, intuition just gets drowned out. You've also, I think, been conditioned not to trust it because other people would they would prefer to tell you what to do. So you don't have to think. And there's also a relief of responsibility when you give agency over to someone else to do your thinking for you. You don't have to be responsible then for the outcomes. You can always blame someone else. So you have to really work to tap into it. You got to create small moments of slowness, stillness in the morning or at night, even a quiet walk during the day, or a simple breathing deeply before reacting, even slowing down the cadence of your sentences. This begins to slow the mind down. Number 2, tune into your sensations, not just your thoughts. Your body often knows before your mind understands. Let me tell you, working with the hundreds of people that I have worked with over the years, I know immediately when I present something to them, if it resonates with them or not. Like I'm a detective asking questions, and it's almost like in their tone of voice or in their face, there's signaling coming from them. And that helps guide me as we kind of go through the detective process when it comes to root cause of health issues. You know, you just ask questions. You're like, so, you know, are you tired at this time or whatever? Do you think you're tired because of this? Nah, I don't think that's it. Okay, well, what about this? Oh. Funny you would bring that up. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. But you have to listen for it. And you have to respect the cues of people. Your body knows what's going on. It's your thoughts and what you're being fed that's confusing you. So trust. You've got to learn to trust, okay? A tight chest, a jaw clench, or a heaviness, it may signal misalignment. A calm, open, grounded feeling is often a quiet yes. So learning your body's language is one of the fastest ways to reconnect to your intuition. Number 3, notice repeating patterns. When something keeps coming up, a thought, an idea, a concern, a pull toward or a pull away, it's not random. Repetition, often intuition, is often intuition trying again because you didn't hear it the first time. And because we're conditioned in the outside world to not really trust those types of things, like, oh, that's an old wives' tale, or, oh, you know, that's woo-woo, that's not really how it is. Listen, you have frequency coming off of you. Like you are an electrical being. The earth you live on also has a frequency coming off of it. It's science. You're attracted to certain things. Everything has frequency, and you're attracted and dial in to different frequencies because that's what your body needs. That's where your intuition is guiding you. You've just been conditioned to not trust that. Start trusting it. You're not going to be right all the time. I'm not talking about psychic ability here. But you will, as you learn to trust it, each time it hits you right, and you know, that builds the pattern, and you get better and better at it. Practicing acting on small inner nudges. So intuition grows through your practice of it. It's an art. Start with small decisions like what to eat, who to call, when to rest, which way to drive home. The more you respond, the clearer the signal becomes. Confidence comes from practicing, not waiting to feel certain about something. That's never coming. You're never going to be like, you can practice for years, but something just like, I've practiced this, like I told you, my whole life. And just the other day, I thought something and I said, no, I'm not going to speak it out loud. I'm not going to speak it out loud. Boom. Happened. Sometimes it comes in a picture in your mind. And listen, I'm telling you, this is not psychic ability, okay? It is, I liken it to this. You're a pattern gatherer, and you have a filing cabinet of files, okay? And every time something happens in your life, you're filing another paper in that file. So somebody telling you something, somebody, an experience you had, a pattern of movement, whatever it is, your subconscious mind is keeping all those papers in the filing cabinet. And if you allow your intuition to rise up, you've seen this pattern before. whether it's the, expression on their face, the tone of the voice, the body language. You've seen it before. And so the brain opens up the filing cabinet and it goes, yep, that right there. And then you receive the message and you're like, oh, this is going to happen. Because you've seen this stage set before. You're just not like recalling it with your conscious mind. It's coming from your unconscious mind. That's intuition. It's not even really a gift. You know who's really good at this? Kids that grew up in abusive homes. Because when you grow up in a rough home like that, you are on high alert from a very young age, and you're looking for patterns. You're looking for tones of voices. You're looking for noises, and you're just filling your files full of papers because you're trying to mitigate abuse or, conflict or yelling, screaming, arguments, whatever. You're always trying to mitigate that. And so your brain gets really good at picking up at cues and filing them so that you're danger, danger, danger. That's not like psychic ability. It's pattern recognition and it's survival. When you're little, it's survival. And when you grow up and you recognize that this is actually a skill set of good that you acquired because of your childhood, well, then you can start to understand, oh, that's where that's coming from. And you can expand on it and be open to it. Ask questions, then be willing to listen. So instead of forcing answers like, oh, maybe it's this or that, what feels aligned, right? Try asking what feels aligned. Okay. Because you'll feel it. It's like a lock and a key. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure many of you that experience this know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like a lock and a key. When you're aligned with a decision, when you're aligned with something, it just fits right in there and you know it. What feels true? You're talking to somebody, you're just like, oh man, I've seen a liar or two in my life and man, this pattern is just like, it's here. I see it. If fear wasn't making the choice, what would you choose? That's the conditioning, right? That's the outside conditioning, especially in the medical model. They'll make you feel the allopathic medical model runs on urgency. You have no time. You have no time. This is what you have to do. I've seen this a million times. This is what we do here. This is the protocol. Go, 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 go. What does that do? It amps up fear. And then you're not able to fit the lock, the key in the lock, and really align with your decisions. Only you know what's best for your body. Trust. Pause today before making one decision and ask yourself, is this coming from fear or is this coming from my true alignment? Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio. Save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio, and you are entering into the second hour. My time with you goes by so incredibly fast. I know I can talk. It's a good thing that I talk for a living because I drive everybody around me nuts, I'm sure. But you got to get this stuff off your chest, you know, and I'm so grateful that I have this platform to get this stuff on my chest. I tell you, I'm just an analog girl living in a digital world, trying to make it through and trying not to freak out because our whole world is changing. It feels like our whole world is changing, right? And it's changing fast. And I'm concerned. There's a lot of people that are saying, hey, I don't even want to have grandkids. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I just don't, I'm so uncertain about the future. It scares me, but I don't know. Yeah, uncertainty is scary. But here's the thing. If we can come together, you know, and we can start having conversations about how we want to design the future, and more people understand what's at stake here, it could change. It could change. The trajectory could change if people really understand what's at stake here. Anyway, so we've been talking about Elon's comments today about how robots are going to end poverty and, you know, there's not going to be currency in the future and we're not going to have to work in the future and whatnot. And it's all very interesting. But I think we just have to, just see it for what it is. There's no free lunch, right? So how do we negotiate this? I got a lot to cover in this second hour, so I want to make sure you know about the Naturally Inspired community, because Brian from Oklahoma shared this. He struggled with cravings and afternoon crashes for years, and I taught him how to stabilize his blood sugar naturally, and it changed everything for him. He's lost 20 pounds. He has steady energy. His sleep has never been better. You've got to practice sleep hygiene. And so I want to invite you into the Naturally Inspired community where you can get real results. You can try it today. You'll get a 90-day plan from me. You'll get priority access to my text line. You get VIP access to our weekly wellness workshops. This last Tuesday, this past one, we've been talking about neurolinguistic programming. We talked about how our words really matter and that we have these scripts in our mind that control our actions. So it was kind of an introduction to NLP. It was a good one. And so if that sounds like something you'd benefit from, schedule your free health and lifestyle assessment at naturallyinspiredstore.com. If you have questions about any of this, just text me 720-303-8868. That's naturallyinspiredstore.com, where you can connect to real solutions for health. Okay, let's get into some news here, because this is going to go fast, because at the bottom of the hour, Gabe Doe is joining us from Good Brew, and we're going to be talking about some awesome discoveries on gut health. So you want to stay tuned for that. There's a bombshell story. Okay. Aaron Siri, if you're familiar with him, he is a lawyer, and he's been litigating vaccine safety for a very long time, affiliated with Children's Health Defense. And I think even the Highwire, actually, and his own organization is ICANN, I believe. So anyway, Aaron Siri, great lawyer, knows this stuff inside and out. I mean, he had to depose the godfather of vaccines, Stanley Plotton. That was something to watch. Anyway, my point is he knows the stuff, okay? Nobody knows more than Aaron Siri on this topic. So he tweeted today, bombshell, the CDC has updated its autism and vaccine page to start telling the truth, including the claim vaccines do not cause autism is not an evidence-based claim because studies have not ruled out the possibility that infant vaccines cause autism. Studies supporting a link have been ignored by health authorities. Scientific studies have not ruled out the possibility that infant vaccines contribute to the development of autism. However, this statement has historically been disseminated by the CDC and other federal health agencies within HHS to prevent vaccine hesitancy. Multiple reports from HHS and the National Academy of Sciences have consistently concluded that there are still no studies that support this specific claim that the infant vaccines DTaP, Hep B, HIB, IPV, and PCV do not cause autism, and hence the CDC was in violation of the Data Quality Act when it claimed vaccines do not cause autism. I told you it was coming. Step by step by step. This is quite incredible, really. And here is a video, actually, of a guy that has conducted independent study. So take a listen to this.
My name is Matthew Cormier. I'm an independent researcher, and my paper is being published in the Journal of Independent Medicine. The title of my paper is Vaccine-Induced Viral Reactivation and Autism Spectrum Disorder, a review, hypothesis, and implications. The focus of my paper is a review of existing research on the role common viral infections have in the development of autism spectrum disorder, as well as a review of existing research on vaccines acting as a catalyst for viral reactivation. My research presents a novel hypothesis that vaccines may trigger autism by reactivating latent viral infections children are already carrying. This potential link hasn't been addressed or covered by any of the other experts in the field. I believe my research is groundbreaking. I'm really grateful to the Independent Medical Alliance and the Journal of Independent Medicine for publishing my research, especially given its controversial nature. There's a significant body of research implicating common viral infections in the development of autism, dating back to the 1970s with research conducted on the rubella virus during pregnancy and increased risk of giving birth to an autistic child. Similar studies have shown an increased risk during pregnancy with viruses like CMV and herpes simplex type 2. It's been suggested that these viral infections during pregnancy can cross the placenta and infect the fetus, triggering inflammatory pathology in the developing brain. This sets the stage for a later autism diagnosis. There are multiple case studies suggesting that viral encephalitis, predominantly herpes simplex encephalitis, plays a central role in the development of autism. Case studies have documented instances of individuals across various age groups, from children, teenagers to middle-aged adults, experiencing the onset of autism after a bout with herpes simplex encephalitis. Viruses like herpes simplex can become chronic inside the central nervous system, producing low-grade inflammation. This leads into a discussion on something known as vaccine-induced viral reactivation, the phenomenon where a person receives a vaccine and it triggers the reactivation of dormant viral infections they're already carrying, like herpes simplex. This can produce many different inflammatory pathologies, but is of particular concern when it happens in the brain and central nervous system.
Interesting, right? You're going to see drip, 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 right? And then I don't know if we will ever get a definitive statement, but I want you to prepare yourself for negotiations, because these pharmaceutical companies are going to need some negotiations. So if they finally admit that there is vaccine injury and that people have suffered from these injections, they're going to need a consolation prize. And I know it feels disgusting to think about it, but you're talking about the economy here. And so I want you to prepare your mind for negotiations. There may be a new technology coming up. You know what I'm saying? So maybe the old vaccines are going away, and don't forget, Bobby Kennedy has always said, I just want vaccines to be made safer. So what will become in place of vaccines? Now, listen, I'm not dogging on any of this, okay? I understand how the world works. Nobody wants economic crash. And these corporate gangsters, you guys, are so freaking big. They're interwoven into everything. We basically have one big megacorp at this point. Too big to fail? You know what I mean? So I want to prepare you for negotiations. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you're not going to get to take the win. You were right. You were absolutely right. And I hope that every mom whose kid has been injured by a vaccine, every dad who has felt gaslit, every family that has suffered because nobody believed them, I just hope that you hear this. You were right. That's justice. That's justice when those families hear that and know that that is the truth, that everybody knows now and acknowledges that this was the truth. Vaccines cause autism. Vaccines cause thrombocytopenia. Vaccines cause Guillain-Barré syndrome. Vaccines cause Bell's palsy, transverse myelitis, allergies, severe food allergies in some cases, inflammation, sometimes diabetes. The list is long, actually. And so it's exciting. And I think it's going to progress, but I think it's going to progress slowly. So I want to prepare you for that. Next up, because we, like I said, Gabe is joining us at the bottom of the hour. So I want to move on to the next story because this little gem popped out today. And I thought, oh, I remember when some silly doc told me my kid needed this drug. I'll tell you what it is when we come back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. I'm so glad you're here.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen.
A couple stories I want to share with you right off the bat here, and then we will get into our health topic today because I love our health topic today and it is so important that you hear it. So this little gem from 2008, just another little reminder that, sometimes these 3-letter agencies and the gold standard of everything, they don't get it right. Watch this.
Now to disturbing questions about the widely used asthma and allergy drug Singulair. Nearly 31 million prescriptions were written for it in the United States last year. It's Merck & Company's biggest seller. But Singulair can have serious side effects. As Kelly Wallace reports, the FDA wants to know if suicide is one of them.
So I went upstairs and I found my son.
Kate Miller's 15-year-old son, Cody, had killed himself just 17 days after starting the allergy drug, Singulair.
It's the end of our world. And we didn't know why, because this child was a perfectly normal, healthy child, never had a problem.
His mom now believes that Singulair cost him his life. After Cody's suicide, 3 others, and other reports of serious depression and anxiety, the FDA announced it was investigating a possible association between the allergy and asthma drug and behavior and mood changes, suicidal thinking, and suicide. Singulair has been marketed by drug maker Merck for 10 years. The company says in over 40 clinical trials of Singulair, there were no reports of suicidal thoughts and no completed suicides. However, reports of tremors, depression, suicide, and anxiety have led Merck to update prescribing information for this drug 4 times in just the past year. Dr. Marianne McKellis has gotten calls today from concerned patients. She's now writing letters to every patient who takes Singulair, urging them not to overreact.
They should continue their medications unless they are, individually experiencing a major change in their mood.
The FDA says no definite link has been established and that it will take up to 9 months to determine if any regulatory action is needed. In the meantime, Harry, the agency says doctors should monitor very closely any patients taking the drug.
Kelly Wallace.
And at the same time, so I just want to say this, and this is just my opinion, okay? This is just my opinion, but that death is likely an unnecessary pharmaceutical death. Vaccine-induced rhinitis causes allergies, right, to respiratory issues. That's why they put them on Singulair. You see what I'm saying here? At the same time, okay, that's 2008. They've known that since 2008. The Canadian government right now is trying to restrict your ability to supplements and vitamins. Listen to this.
Rise for the second parliament in a row and present a bill to restore the traditional definition of natural health products. For Canadians watching at home, you might recall that back in the last parliament in 2023, the government of the day, the Trudeau government of the day, introduced Budget Implementation Act Bill C-47, which redefined natural health products, which have been basically a standalone regulatory body, and it had its own regulations and its own legislation. But the government of the day changed that to make natural health products regulated the same as therapeutic drugs, which meant that all of the processes that Health Canada use to pre-approve sites, to pre-approve products for natural health products now would be the same as therapeutic drugs. So that would include getting something as simple as a vitamin B complex to the marketplace would be just as complicated and potentially as convoluted as getting a new cancer treatment drug to the marketplace. And of course, the government's intention through that Bill C-47 change of the definition was to do cost recovery on the natural health product industry the same way that they do on the pharmaceutical industry, given the fact that big pharmaceutical industries have billions of dollars of research and development funds, and they have a completely regulated allopathic healthcare system. Natural health products can't compete in that space, and we'll talk more about that red tape. But I just wanted to be clear with Canadians that there was no consultation at the time that Bill C-47 was brought through. As a matter of fact, there was no debate. I couldn't find anything that the government said at the time in Bill C-47 about natural health products. It was just tucked in this massive omnibus Budget Implementation Act. The Natural Health Products Protection Association had no idea. The Canadian Health Food Association had no idea. The Direct Sellers Association had no idea. The Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses didn't know. So this was all done. It was a plan hatched in a back room where Health Canada officials, I'm assuming, basically duped the Minister of the day, Mark Holland, into putting this into the budget implementation, and it created a firestorm of activity. For parliamentarians that were here in the last parliament, you'll remember that various campaigns were initiated by Canadians across the country, whether it's the Natural Health Products Protection Association, the Canadian Health Food Association, Save Our Supplements campaigns. MPs were, I have a stack of cards, Madam Speaker, and I think you probably do as well, that was at least 2 feet high in my office from concerned Canadians. And I'll just...
Yeah, because 70% of Canadians use vitamins and minerals and supplementation. And let me just tell you this, okay? My kid was offered Singulair. They offered that, and I said, no, thank you. And what I did is I researched, and I put my kid on things like quercetin and vitamin C and omegas, and I used lavender in his room, and I cleaned up his diet, and I got him outside, and I used all these different strategies to help bring my kid's body back to a healthy place after he was injured by a medical intervention. And I just showed you a clip where a kid died because of that medication, and they want to restrict your right to be able to use vitamins and minerals, what your body needs to fix deficiency. This is you got to stand up for this. Already, I found out today that my particular line of products that I partner with is available in Canada, but methylated vitamins are not permitted through my company in Canada because of Canadian regulation. You can't buy methylated vitamins from my company because of the Canadian regulation on it. They deem it too potent. And so it's got to be pharmaceutical grade, and it's a lot harder to get. You've got to have a certain endorsement to be able to sell methylated vitamins in Canada. They've already clamped down on it. Talk about losing your freedom. You have no control over what you put in your own body. You got to go see the white coat to be able to take some vitamin C. That's where you're headed. Anyway, let's get to the health topic because this is a good one. Today, I'm talking about the amygdala and how the amygdala impacts the nervous system. The amygdala is a small little almond-shaped structure in the brain responsible for emotional processing, especially fear, danger, and threat detection. So think of it as your body's alarm system. When the amygdala senses something stressful, real, or even imagined, it signals the nervous system to shift into fight, flight, or freeze. Here's what triggers it, okay? Here's what triggers when this happens. Increased heart rate, faster breathing, muscle tension, stress hormone, cortisol, and adrenaline, suppressed digestion, reduced immune response. Even if the threat is just a thought, the amygdala reacts the same way as if there were physical danger. That's why worry, chronic stress, trauma patterns, and rumination can dysregulate your nervous system over time. So a calm amygdala supports emotional balance, better sleep, improved decision-making, lower anxiety, a more regulated vagus nerve response, a healthier stress response overall, okay? Very important. A calm amygdala helps your nervous system stay responsive instead of reactive. So supplements, they can help support your amygdala and your brain chemistry. So regulation becomes easier instead of a battle. If you're in a battle with your nervous system, the worst thing you can do is fight against it. Again, your nervous system, you're triggered, you're acting, you're reacting in a way you don't feel like you have as much control over your nervous system. It happens, especially when we get into perimenopause and menopause phase and men hit about 50. You're just depleted. And so you don't respond. Your nervous system is not at your command like it used to be. If you can relate to this, here's what you need to know. The amygdala is designed to protect you. Its job is to scan for danger and respond quickly, even before the conscious mind has time to think. But when the stress load becomes too high for too long, the amygdala can shift from protection mode into hyper-reactive mode, meaning it begins firing alarms even when the body is not in danger. This is called amygdala dysfunction, and there are several things that can trigger it. Chronic stress, okay? Big one. When the body is under repeated pressure, busy schedules, emotional strain, lack of rest, the amygdala becomes sensitized and it gets stuck on high alert, scanning constantly for threats, even small ones. 2, trauma or unresolved experiences cause this condition. Emotional trauma, especially early in life, can condition the amygdala to associate neutral situations with danger. This includes childhood neglect, medical trauma, relational trauma, or even sudden shock events. 3, nervous system dysregulation. When the nervous system spends too much time in fight or flight or freeze, the amygdala strengthens its alarm pathways and weakens the pathways responsible for calm, logic, and emotional regulation. Lack of safety, of predictability. The amygdala is wired to seek safety. Environments with instability, whether emotional, relational, financial, or physical, can cause heightened activation. Also, nutrient deficiencies. Neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA help keep the amygdala balanced. Low levels of key nutrients, especially B vitamins, magnesium, omega-3s, polyphenols even, can reduce the brain's ability to shut off the alarm response. Poor sleep or circadian rhythm, those people that work night shift. Sleep restores the emotional centers of the brain. Lack of deep sleep makes the amygdala 40% more reactive the next day. I have some suggestions for you. You want to get some MindWorks, some Mood Lift Complex, some B Complex. Go to the Naturally Inspired store today and click on the bundle, Amygdala Support. Next up, Gabe Doe is joining us.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. And I'm so excited because Gabe Doe, the founder of Good Brew, is joining us. Always a great conversation when Gabe comes on. Let's just bring him straight out because I know you know him. You love him. I talk to you every day and everybody tells me, I'm on the Good Brew. I'm on the Good Brew. And so I literally got off the phone with somebody today right before I started the show. And she's telling me she's down there in Florida. She's like, oh, I forgot to tell you. I'm on the Good Brew too, and I love it. I love the Good Brew. Like, I feel like you're growing all over the country, Gabe. Does it feel that way to you?
Yeah, we're growing. We're getting there. So wonderful to have all these great stories, and we're growing because we have so many reorders. You know, you can't grow a business like this unless you have people who are really committed and love the product, and we have plenty of those people, and we're getting there. You know, we're growing, and it's wonderful. I hear a lot of these types of stories. I think we got one story I'd like to talk a little bit about tonight when we get a chance to it. It's just because it's kind of a public figure, but his story itself, I think, is kind of interesting in the fact that I think it ties into something we were talking about maybe on the last show as well when it comes to gut health and mood and the enteric nervous system and all of that sort of thing. So how are you doing? We got quite a few of these under our belt now. I mean, it's been.
We do. We do. This is super grassroots. I hope everybody realizes that. Naturally Inspired and Good Brew, we're coming up the ranks together, which is kind of cool. Like, I always feel like when I hear a win about Good Brew, I know I've told you this before, but I'm so proud. You know, it's just like, oh my gosh, I see Good Brew out here, and I'm talking to people and they're mentioning Good Brew, and I'm just so excited for you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the 2024 Naturally Inspired Summit that you all put on was really a good launching point for us. We'd been selling a little bit before then, but a lot of things happened from that. We can really point to that moment as being a real turning point for us. So, and these shows and all the connections we've made. And so thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be a part of what you're doing. So.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy that, we found you guys and that we can support small American business. We've been talking a lot about America on my show recently, just to point out that America is great. And, although we have our flaws, we ought to be proud of our culture, and entrepreneurship is a big part of American culture. And so you won't hear anybody more excited about their business and what they're doing to change the marketplace than Gabe Doe. So tell me about this story that you're mentioning.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about, there's so many aspects of the gut, and that's why we can have these conversations every week or two, because there's so many things to talk about. But the enteric nervous system, which is, separate from the central nervous system. And it's so interesting that we have this nervous system in our gut that is not explainable by just the sheer aspect of the nervous system and its involvement in digestion, which it certainly is. It's a very important role that is played with the nervous system and the enteric nervous system is in digestion. But we know that we have large brains, and we know that if you have a large brain, that's a huge consumption of energy, and therefore that brain has to provide some sort of benefit, in order to have a large brain, because it's 20% of our resting calorie intake is the brain. So why does our gut have a nervous system that is comparable to the brain? It doesn't have as many neurons as the brain, but it definitely has a comparable number of neurons to the brain. And the surface area of the digestive system is the largest organ in the body, even larger than the skin. So the gut is full of all these neurons, and I call it the second brain, and it has a lot of the same neurotransmitters being produced in the gut that is produced in the brain. In fact, we know that 90% of the serotonin in the body is produced in the gut. But there's also several others of these neurotransmitters and hormones. Another one that's really interesting is called the corticotropin release hormone. And so this is a hormone that's produced in the brain that regulates the release of cortisol, but it's also produced in the gut. And in the gut, it's produced in the same cells as serotonin. And it has a relationship with serotonin. So the story I was going to mention is I thought was really interesting. He's a retired professional boxer. He's 36-0. He was a top 10 heavyweight contender. And he uses Good Brew, and he mentioned several things about Good Brew that he likes. But one of the things that he mentioned was, he felt like it was helping him with his mood. And I was like, well, that's really interesting to hear somebody that was a boxer and an athlete mention something like that. Plus, he's under a lot of stress for other reasons as well. And so, I really thought that was interesting to have this former professional athlete who was a boxer, who we all know that CTE, all these sorts of things. Mentioning that, and then making this correlation between a mouse study that was done back in I think it was 2013 or something like that. So they took these depressed mice and they put them in a swim tank, and the way they test this is the mice that are healthy will continue to swim to look for safety, and the depressed mice will just basically get lethargic and see what fate brings them. Right? They'll just stop trying to swim. And they changed the gut microbiome of these mice, and when they did that, these mice started behaving like the normal mice and started swimming again, looking for safety. And then they cut the vagus nerve, which is the nerve that runs from the gut to the brain. And when they did that, those mice went back to behaving as depressed mice. So not only was the gut and the gut microbiome affecting the mood and the mental state of these mice, but it wasn't doing it by actually changing the brain permanently. It was actually happening in the gut. So the enteric nervous system itself was regulating the mental state of these mice. And that serotonin and cortisone are related to so many things, but it's this imbalance, things like, appetite and stuff like that, but obviously mood, depression, but also things like memory. So another factor, because we talked about PTSD in relationship to the gut and the studies that the military had been doing, and the military was looking at this idea that, or it's kind of getting proven now because they're showing that PTSD can be mitigated somewhat by gut health, but also the fact that the gut and the state of the gut at the time of the exposure to trauma might be the difference between one person develops PTSD and another one doesn't. Well, it happens to be that this.
What? Really?
Yes, in this corticotropin release hormone is now known to affect the brain's ability, or the body, because we know like the nervous system is all through the body. The body's memory of fear memory. So this specific hormone has now been related to how we remember fear and we remember trauma. And so when it's dysregulated, especially when you dysregulate it in relationship to serotonin. So when this one goes up, the serotonin actually goes down. So it's a double whammy, right? You're getting the high cortisol and the lower serotonin. And then, this is related to also how we internalize trauma and fear and how we process it. So I thought it was interesting, this former professional boxer.
Yes.
And then you can put all these other things together, which is quite
a puzzle. I'm just trying to think about what you're saying here, because it's almost like the gut microbiome has memory.
Yeah, it's it has a memory, but also it affects the memory of the nerves in the body. So the chemistry that the gut microbiome is producing, just like it's being produced in the brain, is affecting the way the neurons function and the way that they remember things, how they wire together.
My gosh, the complexity of the gut, Gabe. I'm sorry, I'm nerding out here on you, but like that is absolutely fascinating to me because it just kind of proves that there are no accidents in life. You know what I mean? Like everything is related. You cannot just compartmentalize your health. Like that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. And then when you get into things like just the immune system being 70% in the gut and how much the immune function affects our mood and the mental state as well. Like when you're sick, you still feel right? So there's that. Like the studies done with autistic children where they show that changing the gut microbiome really lowers anxiety and improves mood and concentration and focus with autistic children, which of course that would be with everybody. It's just that they're a very dramatic subset of the population where you can really see these things, in a dramatic fashion. So
yeah, and it correlates because we see escalation in things like depression and anxiety and mental health, and we have this, this tainted food supply, if you will. We have this ultra processed food supply, which is dead food, which really, how does eating ultra processed food impact the gut microbiome?
Yeah, the gut microbiome will change to the foods that we're eating, also to our mental state. So it's a reciprocal thing too. When we're depressed or anxious, we produce certain chemicals that then start to also affect the microbiome. The foods that we eat will shift the microbiome. It'll shift what the microbiome wants to feed on is a good, natural fiber, prebiotic, or resistant starch. So like we use in Good Brew, we use an organic inulin fiber. That's what the gut microbiome wants to feed on. And those metabolites that the microbiome produces, like the short chain fatty acids and those things that help keep the gut healthy, also helps to produce the right kinds of energy sources that the cells of the body want to use. If we shift that and we start feeding it other things, well, you're going to get different microbes that want to feed on these new food sources, and they're going to produce metabolites that are really supporting our health and even negating our health. Actually, it's not a neutral thing, right? It's either a positive thing or a negative thing. So you get some really nasty metabolites, and then once that happens, those microbes try to produce an environment they want to survive in. So it's very hard now to get the other microbes, the good ones, the good bugs, the good probiotics, back in control of your diet, back into homeostasis is what we call it. So now we're in dysbiosis.
Yeah. I have a question. We're going to go to break probably in a few minutes here, but I think we can get a short answer in. Research is showing that gut bacteria can shift in as little as 24 to 72 hours based on what we eat and how we live. So what would you suggest? Like, what feedback do you have on that? Does it matter where we live and how that impacts? Does that impact our gut microbiome?
Yeah, well, yes. So the gut microbiome is as unique to each individual as your thumbprint is, but it also is family. You can see it in families. You can see it in towns. It's kind of like if you draw a map of the population, you'll be able to kind of see where the microbiome is similar geographically and that sort of thing. So yes, where we live will make a difference. But but at the same time, it's what you eat. And then you got water source issues and things like that. I mean, that's going to change the microbiome. All these factors play a role in that. So you really need to listen to your body, and you need to do things like eat well, exercise, try to reduce your stress. But then also you can do things like use our product like Good Brew that will help it's really a fundamental and foundational product that really helps to support the rest of your gut microbiome when you don't use any preservatives or artificial flavors or processing aids. We just use a probiotic, a spore-forming probiotic that survives through the stomach acid, and you can even use it in your coffee. So it makes it really convenient.
Yeah, let's talk about that, how you take it when we come back. Also, I want you to explain why somebody on carnivore diet might really benefit from using Good Brew. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Gabe Doe with Good Brew. Visit Good Brew. That's GOODBRU.com. We'll be right back. You're not going to want to miss this.
Did you know that 70% of your immune system is in your gut? Good Brew is the perfect addition to your daily routine for optimal gut health. Good Brew provides the perfect balance of prebiotic soluble fiber and probiotics, essential for promoting good gut health. It is so easy to use. Call 307-381-1099. That's 307-381-1099. Use Naturally Inspired and get our special offer. Visit goodbrew.com. That's goodbru.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We're chatting with Gabe Doe from Good Brew. I'm nerding out here on this science. He's talking about how your gut microbiome impacts your mood. It's like this really like a two-way synergistic relationship that our brain has with our gut. And even the microgut biome has its own little intricate system inside the gut that it's just, I don't know. It's fascinating to me. There's no mistake in the way that you are made. Gabe, welcome back to Naturally Inspired Radio. I want to dive into a little bit about, let's explain how you take the product, first of all, so everybody knows, and why you guys chose to make it that way.
Yeah, well, we just wanted to make a very simple product that works without any preservatives or additives. Many of the fibers that are on the market are not even, I was just talking to somebody yesterday, they're not even the type of fibers that our gut microbiome it really is meant to feed on. So there's wheat dextrin and corn dextrin, so the biggest soluble fibers on the market that are produced by some of the big pharmaceutical companies. Those companies, they use the cheapest fibers. Then there's some synthetic fibers. That's not what the gut microbiome is really meant to feed on. And it's also actually causing a lot of people issues and that sort of thing. So we made a simple product that has a lot of research behind it, but it's also very easy to use. It survives the stomach acid, which many of the probiotics on the market in capsule form die in the stomach. And because it's a spore-forming probiotic that's found in nature, Bacillus coagulans, it will survive, and hot beverages don't affect it. So you can put it in coffee, and that makes it very easy to use in your daily routine. And then the soluble inulin fiber is the short chain type of inulin that our gut microbiome loves. It's found in nature, and it goes perfectly in coffee. You don't even taste it. So you can also adjust it. So not only by using it as a scoop rather than in a capsule, you get a significant amount of fiber, not just a token amount, but you can also adjust it. And that's very important because that you need to, everybody's different. And we get all kinds, there's a lot of people use one scoop and some people use two scoops. Some people even use a little less than that. But what's important is that you start small and then find what works for you, and then just use what works for you. More is not necessarily better. What's right is what makes what works for you. So
yeah, I love that. And also I know some people, I know a few people that just take the scoop right in their mouth.
Yes, that we have quite a few of those. We have a lot of people with acid reflux.
Yes.
That it helps them with acid reflux when nothing else has helped them. And that's we can talk about that in the nervous system too, because I got some theories on this in addition to just some general things. But some of the people who have like acid reflux, that sort of thing, they like to just take GERD. They just like to take a scoop of it too. And then it help people with chronic constipation that nothing else has helped them with. And
people I know on carnivore diets, they had the issue of constipation with carnivore diet, and this has helped incredibly. This has resolved it.
Yes, that's one of the things when you're on a high protein diet, you got to be very careful because your body has to have the microbiome has to have that fiber to produce the short chain fatty acids that are essential to all the cellular function in your gut. And if your cells aren't functioning properly in the gut, then they're not doing the job of uptaking nutrients correctly. And another thing about inflammatory disease as one of the things that happens in the gut when the cells stop getting the right nutrient source. So the cells can't really produce those short chain fatty acids if all they're feeding on is protein. So you got to give them some fiber. But one of the things that happens there is that's where you start getting the leaky gut. Yep. And so what happens, even if it's not like chronic leaky gut, what happens is the fats go through the wall of the intestines and gets picked up in the limbic system. And the proteins are supposed to be broken down into amino acids and peptides by the enzymes in the microbiome. And then they go into the blood system and they go through the liver that way. But when you get leaky gut, one of the things that starts to happen is those proteins start to go through the wall of the intestines with the fats. And so now, and your body will create immune responses to protein.
Inflammatory response, yeah.
Right, yeah. So once that happens, it starts to create a cycle, because the more your body senses these proteins getting into the system, the more inflamed the immune system gets trying to see those as foreign invaders. And so you need to have a healthy mucosal lining and epithelial lining of the digestive tract, and that comes from the microbes digesting these soluble prebiotics or fibers and also resistant starches. So if you take like a baked potato or something like that and you put it in the fridge overnight, you might have heard of this. That causes the starches in the carbohydrates in the potato to kind of set up and denature a little bit, and that's also a good prebiotic if you're on a carnivore diet. But you're trying to limit those starches, so the soluble fiber in Good Brew doesn't have any calories, and it's a very small amount. It's not like eating a potato; it's just like a scoop,
That's right.
And it gives your digestive system something to feed on to produce those short chain fatty acids that fuel the cells.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about more about what type of customer you've been able to help and what it's resolved for people.
So we've got customers from every demographic. That's one of the things is we got kids, we've got elderly people, we've got everybody in between. We have people who are looking for just optimizing their health, and they just, want to have a better, healthier gut, healthier, microbiome, and Good Brew seems to help them with that. And then we have a lot of people who have specific digestive health issues, and it seems to help them. And sometimes it helps them quite profoundly. Some of these will be like with constipation or GERD. We've also with IBS, but IBS is a funny one because IBS actually covers IBS is not like one specific problem. It's kind of a group of symptoms. And so some people might have like SIBO or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You got to start really small with that and really got to feel your way through it, because when you start, trying to change all of those, all of the dysbiosis, you kind of have a bit of a battle that kind of takes place in the gut. So we've had a lot. I mean, even mouth, oral health.
Oral health. Yeah. A lot of people, I think, don't realize that skin issues are correlated to gut health. So things like eczema, psoriasis, dry patches. This is all communication coming from the body, and it directly correlates with gut health. I want to mention that because even dandruff, getting dry scalp and itchy spots on your scalp, this all leads back to your gut. So there's some things that people may not correlate, like, oh, I have a totally fine gut because, I'm regular or whatever. Like, it seems like that's the marker. Like, if I'm a regular, I must have a healthy gut. But it's a little more expansive than that, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. All of the nutrient absorption, the protein absorption, vitamin absorption, the short chain fatty acids that circulate through the blood system, all of these things are starting in the gut, and they're just, well, if you just think about it, I mean, we are what we eat, that old saying. But it goes more than that. How do you get the nutrients out of what you eat? I mean, so you need your gut microbiome plays a major role in our ability to absorb these nutrients, but also producing nutrients. The gut microbiome actually produces as metabolites some very essential nutrients for the body that if we don't have a healthy gut microbiome, we don't get these. B vitamins is a big aspect of that. And so we have had a lot of people. Calcium and magnesium absorption is related to both the microbiome and also to fiber for a couple of different reasons. There's a couple of different ways that works. And there's some of those things are supposed to most readily be absorbed in the body in the lower intestine, and the lower intestine is where the job really gets turned over to the microbiome. the lower intestine really doesn't do much by itself, like it does, like the small intestine and the stomach have a lot of enzymes and acids and these sorts of things. But when things get to the lower intestine, that's the home of the gut of the microbiome. And so if you don't have a healthy microbiome, many of these metabolites don't get broken down and absorbed from the foods that we're eating. And we have had quite a few people mention that it's helped them with their skin and that sort of thing. And I was also going to say something about the nervous system and GERD. So this is really interesting. So they know there's lots of studies where if you start shifting the gut microbiome to a healthy gut microbiome, you start to you can start to drive out H. pylori and those sorts of things. That's really bad bugs that are at the heart of a lot of these problems. Yeah. But the sphincter in the esophagus is controlled by the central nervous system, and so GERD or acid reflux is like when the acid is getting back up through that, through the esophagus, and also bile. It's even really bad for some people. Bile comes all the way up from the small intestine all the way up into the esophagus, and that's where a lot of the carcinomas start is from that bile coming back up and messing with the cells there. But I got an interesting theory on this. Is in addition to what the microbiomes are doing, maybe to just heal the inside of the stomach and the stomach lining, I'm also now thinking that when you read this, these microbes like H. pylori and these other ones, they're not just there like getting harbingers of a defected stomach and finding a place. I think they're actually producing signals that are actually telling the nervous system to dysfunction. And because the enteric nervous system and the central nervous system are meeting right there at the esophagus, and they have to communicate. They have to be in balance with one another, right? So when that gets out of balance, that's when the acid reflux occurs. But then it gets more and more chronic. Why does it keep getting more chronic? Well, I think that the microbes actually, the bad bugs they actually have a mechanism or a system for actually disrupting the nervous system. This is my theory.
I love this. My mind is going crazy here because I'm thinking I wonder if we have any studies that can correlate people who experience things like anxiety and have GERD.
Yeah, because it does. Yeah, stress affects GERD. Stress causes acid reflux. It causes vomit. Vomiting is also something that can be done. Just stress can cause us to vomit.
Oh, stress can cause so many things. Diarrhea. If you don't realize that your thoughts impact your physiology, you're missing out on being able to get back to homeostasis. Yes.
And if you think about it, with the gut microbiome, also it works both ways. Producing the right in the right balance, producing the right levels of neurotransmitters and that sort of thing. So we have less of that stress and less of that anxiety. So it's not chronic. It's if you're going to have diarrhea or throw up from stress, it should be when there's real stress and there's not and we don't even call it imaginary. But when it's because of a dysbiosis,
it's a signal, a wrong signal being switched. Yeah, exactly.
But I would think, well, if our good bugs do that, then the bad bugs don't. They're not just neutral in this game. They're actually producing metabolites and toxins that are giving signals to the nervous system to disrupt it. To keep the environment the way that it is.
I just want to make sure everybody knows where to get Good Brew. So you can go to goodbrew.com and you can use a promo code Tammy and get a little extra discount. Thank you so much for offering that to our audience.
Absolutely. Yes. Use Tammy and get a 10% discount at checkout, and Good Brew, GODBRU.com.
And you have a Christmas special where you can grab. Tell us about that.
Yep. Right now we have a special. You get buy a large and get a free small. So the travel size, the 15 servings. A lot of people it's good to give away. At Christmas you can give that away too as a gift. Put it in a stocking or something along those lines. But also people like it because you can travel with it.
Yeah, you don't have the bigger canister. You have the smaller one that you can just, zip in your carry-on. Lord knows you can't barely take anything on the carry-ons anymore, Gabe.
That's right.
You gotta keep them as small as possible. Yep. I am a big advocate for giving the gift of health at Christmas time. Many people I talk to, they're like, I really want to buy this. I really know I need this, but I can't really afford it. Listen. if you know somebody struggling with their health, why not give them the gift of health like Good Brew for Christmas? It just makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
Gabe, thanks so much for being on today, everybody. This is Gabe Doe with goodbrew.com. Use promo code Tammy. Thank you so much, and thanks for listening today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Tammy.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.